It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Welcome to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com, freedomsphoenix.com. Now, what we're going to do today is the first hour, I'm going to have, maybe I can convince him to sit in for the second hour too. Powell Gammill, senior editor of Freedom's Phoenix. There's a lot of things I want to talk about on the site and some of the things that we're covering and things that we're doing and things we got to deal with on this end. And in the second hour, I have Ghada, Talhami, and Amin, Mahmoud. For the first half hour is Ghada, and then Amin in the second half hour. Now, Amin is with the Alliance of Egyptian Americans. You know, and I really want to talk to these guys because of the context that they have and a perspective they give. Ghada, there's a reason public opinion in the Arab world isn't pro-American. Now, they're the emeritus professor in the Department of Politics at Lake Forest College, and she wrote a book on Muslim women. But this is the question that I have: do they even have a concept of self-ownership? The Arabic world, anywhere. We went through this in the early 90s when we were talking a lot about gun control and so on here. Japan was one of the big buyers of our debt back then, into the 80s, early 90s, and so on. And when Daddy Bush got reelected on the promise of no new taxes, then raised taxes, it was in response to shoring up our debt status with these foreign countries that go, look, man, you're having deficits every year. You're not raising taxes. You're increasing spending, and you want us to give you money? No. So they increased taxes, which sent the people into fits, and all of a sudden, then we start hearing more about gun control and so on. And I come to find out about a decade later in a lot of the writings and how the media was portrayed in Korea and in Japan at the time, and in what was West Germany. They were more concerned about an uprising of the American people. And this was really more of a psyop kind of thing. So I'm going, okay. I see what's going on. And when Japanese television came and interviewed me one time, we were doing unrestricted concealed carry initiative, and Arizona was in the spotlight again. And they wanted to talk to me, and it was kind of like their 60 Minutes version. And I'm like, fortunately, having studied a little bit about Japanese culture, read some novels, historical novels and such, I got the idea that they are more about the collective. They're more about serving of the ancestors, emperor, you be part of the La Machine. Well, I'm going, in the Arabic world, I have to understand, because I don't know. I'm trying to understand individual freedoms, rights. Does that even enter into their culture? And at what point is there a base? I'm sure it has a lot to do with Islam, and there has to be something in there. In fact, it's the New Testament that made it very clear that Christ was a rebel, the rebel Jesus, and he was against the collective that was controlling the people. I have come to fulfill the law, not to be a bunch of Jewish lawyers, okay? So what he did is he says, I'm going to use witness and parable and testimony and voluntary persuasion by example to get people to do what I would prefer, get on the path, the way to the light and whatever you want to call it. That's part of Western culture. Mideastern culture is based on what? I don't know. I need to know. But I suspect that an infection of freedom, an infection of the concept of you own yourself, I don't care how you're brought up, you're 14 years old and you get exposed to the idea that, hey, I get to be boss of me, oh man, you causing some teenager problems then. For the good or the bad? As opposed to what? I get accused a lot on this show of being called an anarchist. Oh, you're just an anarchist. Compared to what? What we got now? I'm not sure that's, not anarchy. I mean, there's no rule of law or anything. They just do what they want to do and they got the bigger gun. So when I look at the Middle East and I look at these teenagers and people in their 20s that are inheriting this problem, and I just want to make sure that they understand that they're exposed to the concept that they don't have to be slaves. They can, be a slave to themselves. You know what? I tell me to go do whatever when I tell them to do it. Because if you're not in charge of you, then who is? So this is the concept that I want to make an attempt to expose these young people all over the Middle East. And Cairo is a perfect place because it is the hub of the pop culture of the entire Arabic world. You get something started in Cairo, everybody knows about it. Whether they agree with it or not, it's not even the point. Right now, we're working on the Arabic translation of the Philosophy of Liberty, a flash animation. They're in the process of doing that now. But in the process of this, I just saw Independent Report and various things. I have Google alerts on my name and Freedom's Phoenix and stuff like that. So I start seeing a lot of stuff that's in reference to us doing this project. Now, they're trying to marry me with Mark Hinkle from the Libertarian Party and Mary Ruart from ISIL, International Society for Individual Liberty. Fine, give me stuff. I need an address. Give me some libertarian contacts in the Middle East. Show me, where, what. I can't get anything. Now, ISIL's putting together the, working with Ken Schoolin out of Hawaii, dealing with a guy in Moscow that's putting this together now. So I'm flabbergasted at how inept the libertarian, not the movement. The movement's kicking butt. I'm getting a lot of stuff from people. And we'll go to Powell here in a little bit. He had some ideas already been sending me stuff. I tell you, Powell Gammill, senior editor of Freedom's Phoenix, did more in 10 minutes sending me than all of these organizations have in a week.
That's bad news, man.
I'm like, So one of the other things that you came up, Sierra's working on it right now. I mean, we're just, boom. You got an idea. It's a good idea. Okay, so do it. Well, we need to have a committee meeting or something. So what happened is you talked to me about some resources available from Cato. Tell me about that.
Cato Institute has their little brochure you see all the politicians pull out whenever they want to talk about the Constitution, that solemn document. They reach in their jacket pocket and say, see, I support the Constitution. They wave that little brown booklet, reddish brown booklet around.
Never read it, but
exactly.
Got in my pocket.
But anyway, they're proud to carry that around, and they have it's a pristine. There's not a fold crease in that whole thing. It's never
no
been
dog
open.
ears or nothing.
So, any rate, Cato actually has translated that into two different languages. One is Spanish, that you might expect, and the other is Arabic. Roger Pilon translated that booklet into Arabic several years ago. And I'm a bit dismayed that it doesn't appear to be available online. You have to basically buy a $6 copy.
Declaration of Independence, Constitution, Bill of Rights, all three?
Yeah, all three.
In Arabic, now. I want it. When we come back from the break, we're calling Cato right now. We'll see what we can get for you. You guys hold on. I'll let you know.